Imagine buying a plane ticket for $500. You get on the flight, look around, and see empty seats. So here's the question. If those seats are worth money, why would an airline let them fly empty? The answer reveals how airlines actually make their money. Because airlines don't make money simply by filling every seat. They make money by managing how much each passenger pays. A seat on an airplane is unusual. Once the plane takes off, an empty seat can never be sold again. That opportunity disappears forever. So airlines face a brutal problem. Every flight has a fixed number of seats, but customers have very different willingness to pay. That's why the person sitting beside you might have paid $200 while you paid $600 for almost the exact same seat. The secret is called dynamic pricing, and it changes ticket prices according to demand, timing, competition, and remaining seats. Early in the booking process, an airline may offer cheap seats to attract price-sensitive customers. But as the flight fills up, those cheaper prices can disappear and more expensive options remain. And then there's timing. A ticket for tomorrow can cost far more than the same flight booked weeks earlier. Airlines know some travelers have no choice but to pay more, especially when the trip is urgent. A business traveler rushing to an important meeting may value that seat completely differently from someone planning a vacation. Airlines use that difference to build multiple price levels for the same flight. But ticket sales are only the beginning. Many airlines make significant money from things passengers don't immediately think about. Take baggage fees. A passenger might buy a cheap ticket, then pay extra simply to bring luggage. Then there are seat selection fees, priority boarding, food, drinks, Wi-Fi, and upgrades. Each charge may look small individually, but multiply it across millions of passengers, and the numbers become enormous. This is why the advertised ticket price doesn't always tell you what the customer eventually spends. And airlines have another powerful source of revenue: loyalty programs. Frequent flyers collect points, but those points can also become valuable financial assets for the airline. Airlines can sell loyalty points to banks and credit card companies that want customers to spend more. So sometimes the airline earns money from your spending even when you're not buying another plane ticket. But there's something else happening behind every flight. Airlines are constantly fighting to reduce empty seats. They use historical data, booking patterns, holidays, weather, and events to predict how many people will travel. If demand looks weak, prices may fall to attract more passengers. If demand looks strong, prices can rise because the airline knows people still want those seats. This system is called revenue management, and it can make or break an airline's profitability. But filling every seat isn't automatically profitable. An airline can have a completely full plane and still lose money. Why? Because flying an airplane is incredibly expensive. Fuel alone can cost a fortune. Then there's maintenance, aircraft payments, airport charges, employee salaries, insurance, and technology. An airline therefore has to think about more than passengers. It has to manage an entire expensive machine. And that explains why airlines care so much about aircraft utilization. A plane sitting on the ground earns nothing. Airlines want aircraft flying as much as practical because every additional flight can spread expensive fixed costs across more passengers. That's why turnaround time matters. The faster an aircraft can safely prepare for its next flight, the more productive that aircraft can become. But airlines also use another strategy: connecting flights through major hubs. Instead of flying every route directly, passengers can connect through a central airport. That lets airlines combine demand from different cities. Imagine one flight carrying passengers from 5 different cities through the same hub. That can make routes possible that wouldn't work individually. Airlines also make money from cargo. That same airplane carrying passengers can sometimes transport valuable goods underneath them. Phones, medicines, electronics, food, clothing, and other products can travel by air because speed matters. So an airline isn't only selling seats. It's selling transportation capacity. And then there's business class. Those seats take up more space, but they can generate dramatically more revenue per passenger. That's why airlines carefully decide how many premium seats each aircraft should have. They are constantly asking, who is willing to pay more? And what price will make them actually buy? That is the heart of airline economics. It's not simply about selling more tickets. It's about selling the right ticket to the right customer at the right time. But airlines still face huge risks. Fuel prices can suddenly rise. Economic downturns can reduce travel. Wars, pandemics, storms, or unexpected events can change demand almost overnight. That's why airline profits can swing wildly from one period to another. A booming travel season can look completely different from a crisis. And this brings us back to those empty seats. Sometimes an empty seat isn't a mistake. It can be the result of a deliberate pricing decision. Selling that seat too cheaply might reduce the airline's total revenue if a higher-paying customer could have bought it later. So airlines sometimes accept empty seats because maximizing every individual seat isn't the same as maximizing the entire flight's revenue. That sounds strange until you understand the game. The airline isn't selling seats. It's selling limited inventory before time runs out. Once the plane leaves the gate, every unsold seat becomes worthless inventory. There is no second chance. That's why airlines spend enormous amounts of money predicting what customers will do before they even book. And the more accurately they predict demand, the better they can control prices, capacity, and profitability. So when you see a $99 flight advertisement, remember that price may only be the beginning. Your final cost could include luggage, seat selection, food, upgrades, and other services. And behind that ticket is a sophisticated system designed to squeeze as much value as possible from limited aircraft capacity. But airlines aren't simply trying to charge everyone more. If prices become too high, customers can disappear. The real challenge is finding the price customers will accept while generating enough revenue to cover the enormous cost of flying. So the next time you sit on a plane and notice an empty seat, don't assume the airline made a simple mistake. That empty seat might represent a failed prediction, a deliberate pricing decision, or simply demand the airline couldn't capture. Because the real airline business isn't about filling every seat. It's about turning limited space, time, and customer demand into as much sustainable revenue as possible.